Hi everyone, I'm John McLang and I'm a level 1 GIP student. I'd like to share my personal reflections from the schizophrenia simulation activity. At first, I was hesitant to do the activity because we were given several trigger warnings and I took them seriously. The idea of listening to something that could potentially trigger uncomfortable thoughts or emotions made me pause for a bit, but in the end, I choose to proceed carefully because I knew that truly understanding the experience of people who are experiencing this auditory hallucination means that stepping outside of my own comfort zone. I realized I didn't just wanted to learn from the textbooks or just the slides or the class that we have. I wanted to feel even just by a glimpse, or even if it is just induced of what they go through, so that I can understand more. The activity that struck me the most was the first one. The man who is living, ex- experiencing these kinds of symptoms, or schizophrenia. It was a raw, honest, and also unsettling. But for me, it was something unsettling in a best way because it challenged me to appreciate more deeply the symptoms as he go along and describe all of it. While listening to him talk about his symptoms, I can help to somehow relate to some of his experience. And I even started questioning myself. Have I experienced something similar before? And I just recon that before I was also like him. I felt afraid to seek help, and when I had the courage to ask for help, I was unfortunately disregarded. And I think processing it, processing that moment stayed with me as well. So I ended up reflecting deeply on that, and I watched it at nighttime, same as I was doing this one. The next morning, I felt exhausted from the lack of sleep. I think it's not from the lack of sleep, but it's also from the emotional uh, emotional toll that I am processing everything. So did I find the everyday task more difficult while listening to the voices? Of course, it does. The voices that was induced was sporadic, unfamiliar, and also at some point when you're trying to hard to focus on some things that you are trying to accomplish, it's disorienting. They interrupted my ability to concentrate, and I felt overwhelmed by doing some of the tasks, even the simplest one, like uh, putting away clothes or cleaning, feel like they're more challenging and requires more effort to do it. It truly gave me the perspective on the disorganized behavior we often see in people experiencing schizophrenia. It's not laziness or disinterest, it's a cognitive chaos. I thought having people around you too can give you the courage to overcome the emotions and auditory hallucinations. But when they saw my reactions to it, and I tried not to tell them what I experienced as I assimilated the people who are afraid to tell these kinds of experience to other people. I felt sad and judged, and my initial reaction is to withdraw from the people that's giving me that kind of reaction. So the the activity taught me more than I expected. The simulation helps me to appreciate how real and ruthless auditory hallucinations can be. In our class, we learned that hallucinations are positive symptoms, but this activity showed me the emotional weight behind that term. The PowerPoints and the class discussion helped me bridge the gap between the theory and the reality itself. Even though if it's just induced, I still felt the reality of it. It emphasized that hallucinations aren't about intelligence or trying to fix it or trying to reason out. For the people who experience it, they are. This is their reality. And it also made me reflect on the stigma surrounding people with experiencing schizophrenia, and also the myth that people with schizophrenia are violent. For example, the man that was uh, explained on the first video activity that we have was gentle and also reflective. And also, as you realize along, there was a man who is trying to pull himself together, trying to hold to his sense of reality and identity. So this exercise changed my perspective on how should I support my clients with how support our clients or patients with experiencing this kind of uh, symptoms such as auditory hallucinations. This also reminded me of something profound, that every behavior is a communication as well. If a client is acting withdrawn, agitated, it may not be behavioral resistance. It is probably cognitive overload from the voices, as we have also experienced in this activity. The other symptoms such as disorganized thinking and paranoia is just a residual uh, of the symptoms, the primary symptoms that they are experiencing, and it is a normal reaction of a human to an abnormal circumstances. Moving forward, I'll be more intentional in using short and simple sentences when it comes to instructing uh, people with it, and probably reducing distractions in their environment so that they cannot be overloaded. I'll also remember that my role isn't to fix the delusions, but to provide a safe and non-judgmental and understanding environment. Lastly, this experience made me more empathetic in away one thing to read about delusions and thought disorder, but it's not. It's another to feel just a fraction of what might be like. This activity reminded me why I chose this path to be kind of healthcare provider, sorry, who listens deeply and sees beyond the symptoms and offers dignity and respect. Thank you for listening and have a good day.